Welcome everyone back to episode 3 of Pro Player Plays PGA Tour 2K21. I am a pro golfer, but I also love designing in this designer and really all the designers that have come out with this game. In the last episode, we started to really nail the look of this hole. We got a lot of these left trees planted, some of the bushy areas I plan to add throughout this hole, and the coastline. I got a lot of that planted, and I'm generally pretty happy with it. I don't know how much I'm going to change about that, but just looking at the hole here, I'm really excited to get back in and finish it up and get it a lot closer to completion. I don't know if I'll fully finish it, but we're gonna try and get close. One thing I wanted to address quickly before we get into the video: the last episode was really good for nailing down the look and everything, but I definitely want to make it a little bit shorter in these coming episodes. It was an hour and a half, and I just want to be more cognizant of how long I'm recording for. And yeah, we're just getting started with this, so I'm still learning as I keep creating these videos. So yeah, we'll shorten it up a little bit. So without any further ado, let's hop into the designer. And my first order of business that I really wanted to get after is this back section right here in kind of this section of the green. I really think that this is obviously not an area that's very close to being done. So I'm gonna hop in and I'm gonna try and flatten this out a little bit, make it make a little bit more sense. Not have it be so steep in the bunker. You'd never really see that anywhere. So I'm gonna try and flatten this out, maybe make it a bit more of a hill going down towards the water here. And yeah, let's just kind of see what happens. Now I don't mind this look. It's pretty severe. I don't like that. Let's clean this last little section up, and maybe let's use a slightly less severe brush, just to make sure everything's connected right there. I don't hate that. It definitely gives a pretty big shadow into this bunker. It's a little bit much. I might have to go and raise up this bunker. Let's try that. It's definitely the kind of bunker that you'd see, a deep-faced bunker. It's still just a touch deep for me, so let's raise it up just that little bit more. I know I'm just broadly using these tools, but I think it will come out to be a good result. Let's check that out. That looks a little bit better to me. I think that's a more reasonable slope that you'd see. This back section isn't my favorite, but I don't know that there's much I'm going to be able to do with that. Well, we might try and fix some of this bunker. Let's get into this brush here and kind of did what we did in the last episode, spinning it around and try and get a little bit more of a waist bunker feel back here as well. Okay, yep, I like that. And I don't want to infringe too much on this hole because I haven't really fully fleshed out what I want this hole to look like. So we'll do this for now, just kind of leaving myself the ability to fit these tee boxes in for this par 3 that I think is going to be... I've already got some ideas cooking for that hole, so I'm excited to get into that one. But let's remain focused on this hole. I'm going to go in, and now I'm going to try and raise up this bunker as well, because I'd really like this to be seen from the fairway as this side of the hole. It really framed this green. So we're going to go maybe that high. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Okay. So we've got that done, and it looks okay. We're gonna do some more fine tuning to that section, but next thing I really want to do, I'm gonna come back and sculpt this green a little bit later. The next thing I want to do is kind of focus on these cart paths that I have planned for the bunker. So let's think about where we'd want to enter the fairway and exit the fairway. And I think a natural point to enter the fairway would be right here. So I'm actually going to go through with the straightest brush of all time, the long rectangle, I suppose, and I'm going to put this in here. Let's get it a little bit further in. Let's get rid of those. Put a little further in. There we go. And that's going to I'm going to frame this as the entry point with my planting. I'm going to put some bushes on either side, and that's going to be a clear signal, hopefully, to those who would be taking a cart on this hole, that this is where we want you to enter the fairway with your carts, and you'd enter the fairway from there. But that's not the only spot. You'd obviously want to have other places where you could roll your cart through the bunker up into the fairway. So I think this might be another spot that I would like to add a path into the fairway. So let's get this maybe a touch closer. That's a little too close for the planting I have in mind. So we're going to go right here. Yeah, there we go. We'll go to that spot, and then you'll enter back into the cart path, and we'll say that you enter back right about in here. Let's go a little bit further out, maybe. Perfect. Okay, and I'm going to put a little reminder to myself somehow that this is where we're going to enter. Here's the other spot, and then here is the other spot as I go through and plant. I want to go through now, and I kind of want to clean up this edge a little bit. It looks okay, but I think I'm going to move this this pine straw. I want to get this a little closer to the bunker, and I want to smooth out some of these edges. I know they're okay. They're kind of what I'm looking for, but I think that if I use this brush kind of just randomly along the edge here, I think it's going to make this bunker edge make a little bit more sense in terms of how I want this hole to look. So I'm going to go through and do that now. Now, one of my biggest problems with this game is that these edges don't quite match up. So it's kind of just something I'm gonna have to live with. I'm just gonna plant this as heavy rough. It'll just make me feel a little bit better about some of these edges not completely matching up. So I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna plant this heavy rough along this edge. Ooh, and I missed the spot right here. Let me fix that up. And I'm just going to go through and I'm going to make sure that the edges between this pine straw and the bunker makes a little bit more sense. Oh, I'm not painting it. It'd be helpful. Okay, now we have that all done. That looks a little bit... It's jaggedy, but it's not... I had a couple waves in there. I don't know if you guys saw that, but I don't want to have big waves going through the bunkers. So I think that looks a lot better. You can't really see it from the tee, but it makes me feel a little bit better that these edges make some more sense. So now I want to go through and I kind of want to touch up the sculpting around here, like I mentioned before, and kind of work on this green a little bit, because this green site is pretty much done the way that I want it to. So let's go through and let's decide how we want this green to actually play. I have a couple ideas. I think the first thing I want to do is I really want to make a couple of... I really like these... I like knobs and greens. I think it provides a lot of interest when you play. So I'm going to add a couple of these in here. One there. And I've also kind of been thinking maybe one in this area to give this section kind of its own backboard, I suppose, because this is going to be a final a pin over here for sure. Then you can stick one kind of in this bowl, and then maybe a front one right here where it's pretty slick and severe off of this left side. So let's flatten this front section up too, because I think that for my taste this is a little what's the word I'm looking for? It's not authentic. It's very manufactured, human-made look. So I want to make it a little bit smoother of a connection. I kind of did it. Let's plan it one more time and see if that helps. I think that helps it a little bit. Okay, we can live with that. So let's go ahead and raise this section up ever so slightly on this side. And give it that big front, and then I really want to go and I want to flatten some areas up here because I really want there to be kind of a false front to this green. It's not as severe of a false front as I was hoping for. So maybe let's use this brush and maybe that'll help. That seems to have helped a little bit. Not like a crazy, I don't need the red lines on this one, but I think that does a little bit better at giving some interest. And so you've kind of got this sideboard here, but if you're here chipping down to this pin, it's no good. Like, you definitely want to be to the right side of this pin, chipping up at it, and kind of taking on this right side. I think that'll make this green kind of a nasty little green, actually, and I like it. So now what I'm going to do, now that I kind of have this whole thing sloped, I think I'm going to raise it up on this side, not much, maybe only a few inches, because I think the prevailing slope on this green would be left to right. Everything would be going towards the ocean, so I don't want anything besides off of this slope here and off of this slope there. I want everything to slope that way. I think that does a pretty good job of giving that feel. Let's actually flatten this a little bit, and then I want to lower this section down just a bit. So let's go down 8 inches and see how that looks. Oh, that's not, we don't, okay, no, it's not sloping behind. It's sloping, we don't want it to slope away from the player. So I'm gonna raise this part up a little bit. Actually, I might lower this section down a bit. Get everything to flow towards that front side. Let's do one quick flatten. And that gives a pretty gentle slope. It's pretty good. It'd be a dangerous pin, that's for sure. Well, alright, let's place some pins so that we can feel good about it. We're gonna put this pin here. That's pin 1. I don't always like to put the hardest pins on day 4, but I think day 2 could be here, kind of in this bowl back there, and then we will add pin 3, and I think pin 3 is really what I'm looking at for this spot. So let's do a quick. As I do this, I always measure from the sides, and I do 3 yards or so, just because if you're playing in a PGA Tour event or any kind of event, you're never going to see a pin less than 3 from the edge. That's just unreasonable to see it that far, that close to the edge, rather. So I really want to make sure that when I'm adding these pins, I have enough of this kind of green grid that it's not unplayable, and that it's far enough away from the edge. And I think that pin does a good job. Let's finish it up with pin 4. I don't think I need to measure this one. I'm going to kind of stick it right in the center there. And that should be a pretty nice and difficult spot, even though it's kind of in the center of this. You don't have much room to miss it on either side. I might sneak it a little bit more over, now that I think about it. I might sneak it into this section here. And I think those are some pretty good pins. I like this one as well. It really brings in this front bunker. This brings long into play, which I like. I might raise this section up as well. Let me raise this up behind the pin. Just to give it that little extra. Well, I didn't want it to sneak onto the green. We're going to undo that. Let's make it a little bit taller right there. That seems a little bit better to me. There we go. So now if you're back into this section, you're chipping from this rough into a big-time downslope. And I think that will be... it will penalize going long now, whereas earlier it wasn't as much of a penalty. All right. I like where that green is at. Now, folks, I think it's time to hop into a big old planting time lapse. I think I'm going to go through and I'm going to repeat this kind of look in a lot of sections through this bunker. That's my goal, is to really give that feeling that there's this kept, manicured section of the bunker, and then kind of just a wild, untamed section, like these bushes here, but then also some wild grasses through these bigger parts of the bunker that aren't necessarily going to be traveled via cart. And I think that's going to give a really cool look of you're really playing through nature here, and that's kind of the feeling I want to have. So, with that being said, I'm going to hop into a time lapse, and I will see you guys on the other side. Now, as I get here kind of to the midway point of me planting this whole thing, I don't know that I want to plant over on this right side of the box yet, because the problem is I don't know what I'm going to do between 18 and 1 here. I have some small ideas, like I almost want to set it up as though it would be a wedding venue or something like that, where you've got your picturesque clubhouse right here, right between 1 and 18, and then down here you have the ocean in the background. You have this open kind of area where you can do seating. I don't know what I want to do with it. That's one idea I've had. So if you guys have any ideas for something I could add in here, because I definitely want it to be an amenity of the golf, of the club. I just don't know what I want it to be quite yet. That's one idea I've had. If you guys have any better ones, I definitely would like to hear it. But I think for now, I'm just going to kind of leave this right side of the tee box. I'm going to leave it blank. It's going to kind of ruin the aesthetic of the hole that I'm going for. But, you know, I'm going to plant something in here, because I think this is definitely going to be planted. So let me hop back in the time lapse, and I'm going to finish planting this whole thing. It's a lot of planting, I know, but we are getting close to the end of it, I think. So I will see you again. As I've been going here, I think I also go back exactly on what I just said, which was I wasn't going to plant over here. I think I'm going to add at least a thin ring of bunkers here that's going to come all the way up into the sides of these tee boxes, just to kind of complete that look of almost an island of tee boxes. So let's go ahead and do the same process we did when making these bunkers and just rotate this guy around, and let's kind of, I'm not going to completely fill it in. I say that now. We'll see what happens. But yeah, that's the plan. Let's see how this looks. So let's go up, kind of through here, around, and then I just want it to be a thin ring because again, I don't know what I'm going to put in this area between. So okay, that doesn't look bad. That actually looks pretty good. I'm pleased with the way that turned out. Let's bring it on in there. Okay, I like the way this looks. I think it really is just gonna finish off this look here, which I think is gonna be really important to the feeling we have at the end of today with how this hole looks completed. I think if we didn't finish this up, I think it would look really awkward. And I think it would just kind of be an awkward blank space over here. So let's go ahead and one more time finish up this planting here. And then in this time lapse, I'm also going to finish it up near the green. I know I only got to a certain part. So we're going to finish that up and let's hop in again to a time lapse. Alright, I've got a lot of the planting in. Now, there's definitely some things I still want to clean up, but let's do a quick play test of this hole and kind of see, let's just see how it feels for now. Could be bad, could see some areas that I don't really like. I'm curious to see where, well, man, yeah, okay. I've done a lot of planting, but I definitely still have some in this middle section that I've got to get after. I really like this view here. I think this is an awesome look. But then as you kind of get out to the fairway, it's very, very bare over there. So let's pop in and let's try and figure out what we can put over there to make it make a little more sense. I think what I'm going to want to do here is bring in this bush line so that it really comes up to this edge here. I think it does a better job on this side of just some of this pine string coming up into play versus, I'm just doing this quickly while I see it so I don't forget about it. See how it just kind of sticks out from the bushes? I think once you get up here, that's just too bare. So we are going to go through and we're going to move this bush line up a little bit. So let's plant some more bushes, everybody. Let's get into it. Okay, I've gone through and I've done a lot of these sections now, and I'm pretty happy with it. Um, I'm definitely struggling a bit on the sides of the fairway here. I think I want more of these sections that kind of come in near the fairway. I think this is a little bare for my tastes. But let's do another playtest here, and let's see kind of how this hole is looking. See, I don't love this area right here. But I don't really want there to be grass right in the driving area, right where you're going to be landing it. So maybe I have to rethink how these fairways are going to interact. I kind of like the way that that grass right in front of me sits, like on this little hill. I don't mind that. I'm going to have to clean up that area, actually, because that's going to drive me crazy, that little node of heavy rough sticking out. But as I sit here, everything looks pretty good except that section. Because then you look over here now, this just looks a lot more complete. There's some areas, like back there I can see a little bit of some of that pine straw. But up in here, I think that is looking pretty darn good. And I like the way that this is sitting in the midst of these waste bunkers. So I like where this is headed. I don't want to say it's complete though. I don't think this is quite where I want it. See, like that driver, if I hit that driver here with where I wanted to place those grasses, then all of a sudden, I mean, you'd have no shot if this was in an actual golf course. It'd be completely blocked out. And this green, that's yeah, that's definitely something. This is going to be a good challenge, I think. And I am, like I said in the intro episode, I am terrible at this game. So I'm going to need you guys to help me as well. Does this look too hard? Does it look too easy? Where can I improve on the difficulty of the course? Because I definitely want it to be a challenge, but nothing outrageous. Just a good test and a good something that tests you but doesn't make it feel impossible, Yeah, I'm not sold on this look here. I'm not sold on the tongues sticking out. I think they look a little bare. But overall, I like the vibe that's been created. I'm just not sure on a couple of the details. Before I forget, let's clean this section up, because that will drive me a little crazy if I don't take care of this now. So let's get this bush out. This is one of my favorite bushes in the whole game. This one right here. You saw me plant with it a bunch during those time lapses. I think this bush looks great. It kind of covers up some problem areas and just gives that little bit of color difference. And I think that looks pretty good. And let's see, that looks a lot better. Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm feeling pretty good about everything other than this bunker. And I think this is where I want to call the episode. I don't want to call this hole complete, but I definitely want, I don't know, to give you guys an opportunity to chime in. Maybe there's something I've forgotten about, or some idea that you have that could, really bring this area into the golf course. And I'll have to monkey around with it and maybe practice some ideas and see how it works. But as it is right now, I'm pretty happy with where we are. I definitely am not calling this hole complete, but I think this is a lot closer to the final version. And I think once we nail this hole, we are going to have a really good idea of how to complete some of the holes in the future. I think it's really important that we get this first hole down pat right where we want it. So I'm going to call it here for today. And to those of you that are screaming at me, yes, I am concerned that the objects meter is already at 9.8% and we're only on hole 1. It's not exactly what we want. I know there's a lot of planting in here that is definitely going to eat up a lot of plant meter that some of these inland holes won't have to contend with. But I still don't love that we're in 10%, and I might have to start tapering back my use of this plant right here. But that is a future decision. Yeah, everybody, I want to thank you for watching this video, and I hope to hear from you in the comments section. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and what I can improve. And yeah, I look forward to hearing from you, and thanks again for watching, everybody. Hope you have a great day.